Hey traders, Raghee here. Welcome to Charts and Coffee. Happy Wednesday, everybody. All right, so let's get to it. We've got a lot of very interesting things going on in this market right now. After the Monday sell-off and pullback, after the turnaround Tuesday, I just want to point something out. The market may not exactly repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. When you see certain patterns happening again and again, yeah, there's always an exception, but these little pullbacks look kind of familiar, don't they? And please remember, this is all happening within the context of an overall uptrend. So if we are going to see some significant fatigue in the market, just presume that it's not going to be some sort of V-top, right? But rather it's going to be a distribution chop that should accompany market structure that looks more like this, right? We're looking for something like this before the market starts to head down in a more, not significant, because we've had some significant moves to the downside, but assume that's what we have to see before we get more of a prolonged move to the downside. So that's what we've got going into the middle of the week. And let's jump into the questions, all right? So first of all, Peter, Netflix, sure. So, we had earnings. So let's talk about the directional bias. So two things. One, I don't play through earnings. I like the pre and I like the post. In other words, I'll play if there is a run up into earnings, cool. We can play that psychology in the preceding weeks before the release. Or once the data is released, there's that burst of volatility. So the question is, all right, Rog, we get a burst of volatility. Which way should I be favoring? It's really, really simple. It's really, really easy, actually. Take a look at the overall trend of the market. This has been double green for a while, which means if there is weakness, if there is some sort of low, you're going to fade it. That's it. I'm not going to fade the move higher and short it. If there is anything to do, it's a move to the downside and fade it. So I don't have any skin in the game here. Not really interested in playing those kinds of moves, but that is how, when I do, that's the game plan. That's the way we trade events like that. So thanks for the question, Peter. All right, Christian, good morning. When I see a pullback, what do I prefer buying between a call vertical versus selling a put credit spread? Okay, so Christian, if the question is, and if there is a particular symbol you guys want me to take a look at, let me know. I'll be happy to dive in. But let's just jump on over to, say, the NASDAQ or something that's in an uptrend. So that's the first thing. We need an uptrend. And when the market does pull back, for example, on that candle right here, this candle right here, yeah. Okay, what would I want to do on that bearish momentum? So my first inclination is just to get long call. My second inclination, based on cost, is now really what we're talking about here is it's a cost or risk offset, right? So now we can talk about a call vertical. And if we want to go the credit route, we can go with the put credit spread, right? All three of these take advantage of the same momentum. Bearish momentum allows me to skew up the long call. Bearish momentum allows me to leg into the call vertical. I always leg into my call verticals. And a put credit spread, that bearish momentum allows me to maximize on the credit that I have collected. So it's really not a matter of preference based on the pullback alone. It's really going to be based on the cost and whether I need to offset some of the debit or whether I just want to straight up go with the credit because it might be a very pricey option, And so it's not really the move that determines which of the three I'm going to do. It's really risk, cost, and my preference to keep the risk to my account at a certain threshold. So to keep that threshold intact, I will likely consider a different strategy, but they all have the same timing. Isn't that interesting? Thank you for the question, Christian. All right, next up, good morning. So the question here, Matus, my thoughts on the dollar yen. Here's the problem. I don't know whether the dollar yen would be so first question when it comes to Forex. What is the driver of your interest in the dollar yen? Meaning, is it the US dollar or is it the yen? Because one of these has to be the dominant reason for your trade. So for example, I've been very interested in the yen because I expect the yen to continue to weaken as I expect the overall markets to continue higher. Not necessarily new highs, but certainly just continue and to retrace the steps higher. So my preference is for yen shorts. So if I know my driver is a desire to short the yen, and now I need what is the best strength currency that I can buy as I short yen. And so that's my thoughts on the dollar yen. It really, before the question of whether I like the dollar yen or not, the question that comes first is, why the symbol? If you everybody out there, not just you, my friend, everybody out there, if we take a moment to go, well, why are we trading this symbol? How did this symbol rise to the top of the conversation? So for you, it's a wedge on the daily chart and a squeeze. For me, well, I would say this. If you're looking for a long, and I agree, I'm with you directionally. Yeah, long for sure. As far as the trade goes, I actually need more consecutive blue grab candles to show that we're stuck in a range before I'm going to play a breakout of it. So I think we're on the right track. I'm just a little bit more selective about when I will put on a momentum trade. I need a very specific set of candles, compressed blue, before I'll presume there's going to be a momentum break. So thank you for the question. Next up is ES. Sure. With ES having an inside day, is now the time to get long. My friend, look, here's where I'll tell you, rather than me telling you what to do, let me tell you what I did do. And so, no, I don't want to get long with today's candle. And I quite frankly did not want to get long with the bullishness of yesterday's candle. I want the bearishness. I want to take advantage of the weakness. And so that means this particular candle, that means Monday's candle is the opportunity, not Tuesdays and not Wednesdays. It is an inside day, and the inside day pattern, well, actually, no. I mean, if you really take a look at it, I don't believe it actually was an inside day, but I get what you mean about the candle body, right? So we can sort of ignore the wick for a moment and say, yeah, it's kind of a loose definition of what I would call an inside day. But I get what you're meaning. Is this now the harbinger to higher highs? Look, I haven't backed off the fact that this market is bullish. So pullbacks, while welcome, are not shorting opportunities for me. They're buying opportunities. So Monday, what I did is I went more at the sector level. And what we did in Sector Secrets was we played relative outperforming sectors and bought those on Monday. One related to the NAS, XLC, and the other related to the S&P, XLV. So no, there's nothing for me to do here other than, quite frankly, enjoy the elevator ride higher. So thanks for the question. So I agree with you on sentiment. I'm not there in terms of timing, only because I've already put those longs on during Monday's session. Debbie, XLRE, strong. Yes, it has been, hasn't it? It's been actually very, very strong. And that move yesterday, I was thinking, all right, come on down just a little bit more, get down into the wave, maybe into the volume ledge in here. Just did not get low enough to fire off the trigger that I have on my TradingView platform. And so what we do in the room to keep from having to basically stare at the charts all day long and miss opportunities, because if we're not looking at the chart at the right time, we could miss the opportunity. So what we do is we assign our charting platform sort of the duty of letting me know when about a dozen or so symbols that I've got on my radar at any given time are getting close to the level from which we would like to start buying
calls or the underlying stock or the underlying ETF or futures or what have you. So I just didn't get, we were so close, but I just did not get my trigger, which was 45.05, I believe, on XLRE. So really bummed about that. But as long as we're looking to the long side, as long as we're looking in the right direction, that I'm not trying to short a double green market, even if you're more aggressive than me, this is still going to be, I think, a trade you can take advantage of. But now that it's moved higher and it's going to open even higher, yeah, nothing I can do until it gets back down to a zone of support that we can buy. So as far as, say, Simon Property Group, no on Simon Property Group. Yeah, no on Simon. I need something to look like XLRE. I need something to track like that particular symbol. So let me see here. Let me pull up XLRE on the multi-chart. And okay, so what would look like XLRE? Almost, gosh, not Simon, not digital, pretty much anything but Simon and digital. Do you see what I mean? I want symbols of the heavily weighted stocks within XLRE to look like XLRE, not in case of Simon and digital, they're not moving like the broader tide, if you will. I want boats that are moving with the tide. So I hope that makes sense. I love that you're looking at XLRE though. Excellent, excellent. All right, next up is Brian. Do I have a trade alert service? So Brian, what we have is what's called a mastery. And much like the name suggests, it's not just alerts, although of course that's part of it. I always told myself if I ever went to just a straight alert service where all I'm doing is just spitting out alerts and not teaching people how to fish, I'm all for helping find the lures and put the lures on the hook and even show you how to cast. But I always swore to myself, if I ever go to the point where I'm just going to be, spitting out alerts, that I would just manage money, because I've had so many offers to do it. And I thought, you know what, I'll just go into money management. But I still have a real drive, as does my partner here in the office. We still have a real drive to empower people how to trade. I mean, trading has been very good to me for 3 decades. And I love talking with traders. It's a kind of, I got my books, but it's kind of isolating to be a trader. So I like the interaction. That's still something that feeds me. We've got to get up in the morning and enjoy what we do. And I love doing this. And part of what I actually loved is the interaction with like-minded, trend-following traders. So yes, we have what's called a mastery, where, for example, today, at 9:20, when we're done with Charts and Coffee, I'm going to go jump into the room and go talk to, 500-600 people that I actually really adore, enjoy spending time with, sharing ideas with. I call it my think tank. So I'll be doing that today in the Sector Secret. So you can check out simplertrading.com/sector. Yes, you will get my alerts, but you're also going to understand why I'm doing it. And so I hope that answers your question. I really, really want you guys to know that you can do this. You can. This is not, I think the idea that anyone cares more about your money than you is ridiculous, because nobody does. And I think that everyone can be empowered to understand how the market works and take advantage of it. It's not rocket surgery. So thank you for the question, Brian. I appreciate that. XLCN. Yes, we're in the XLC calls. Am I going to exit the XLC calls before Facebook? Well, I mean, it's always on the table, because Facebook is the #1 weighted stock within the XLC. But the cool thing is, we're going to hit targets, I believe, before that, and we'll be able to scale out, move to break even. So hopefully the price-based scaling out pays us, reduces our position size, and then if I determine that I want to hit the eject button based on time reasons, a date reason to get out, I certainly will keep that in mind. But remember that the effect Facebook has on XLC, while great, shouldn't be enough to really
crush it. However, the fact of the matter is I'm pretty bullish Facebook. Otherwise, I wouldn't be bullish XLC. So I have to make a game time decision. But that is always on the table. And that's a great point. That is always on the table, though. Thank you for the question, Ann. Let's see. How does a gold long look? So Alex, I'm sitting at gold basically from these levels with some GLD calls. I would rather this market stay above 1800. We basically bought some gold GLD calls, and we're just kind of sitting through this. I do acknowledge it's a non-trending market, and this is not typical of the kind of environment that I do like to get into. But while the ZB, which has been paying us handsomely on the way up, again, we've been buying this on pullbacks, and I will buy the next pullback as well. So I hope it does move lower. I don't think it will for very long, but I hope it does. But what I really need is for this market to level out somewhere and then open the door to gold moving higher. So I like where we are, but in gold, I love where we are in the bonds. I think we're taking our third target right now off the table and probably ratcheting close enough to be at a trailing stop type scenario possibly today. But, and that's something we'll talk about in the sector room, gang, what the next plan is for gold and bonds and the S&P and the NAS, et cetera. But I am long, Alex. So I'm not only just looking for longs, I am long. So I'm with you. And you would probably get at this point a better fill in the long gold position than I would. So that's great. Yeah, for sure. All right. Next up, is it too late to participate in the crude oil move? Well, it depends on what kind of moves you like to take advantage of. I think of all the things that I could take advantage of and focus on, a choppy crude oil market after a bunch of volatility isn't my preference, but that was the threshold. So I would say from the standpoint of my having very, very specific levels at which zones that I want to engage the market, yeah, that's right now in the rearview mirror. But if it were to come back down to that level, then I think it would be actionable once more, but not my favorite because it's not really a great trending market for us. Okay. But thank you for the question, Ben. I appreciate that. Let's see. By the way, I saw the questions about my mastery. The link is right on the screen, gang. simplytrading.com/sector. All right. Next up is, what do I think of Fubo? Sideways market, non-trending, trend that preceded was up. I'd be by and large bullish. But again, of everything that I could focus on in this market, let non-trending setups be, for example, we took XLC and XLV, both trending markets, and then I took one non-trending in GLD, although it's a real yield play related to bonds. Priority was a trend. So if you are interested in a non-trending market, please exhaust ideas and trends before you start to deploy capital in non-trending markets. That's my feeling about trend versus non-trend. And again, I'll say that most of why 2020 for so many traders and investors was so spectacular is because it was a double green trending market across, the board. And so seek out that behavior. It's going to be the more probabilistic environment for your trades, regardless of what you like to do. Unless you like to pick tops, which I never think picking tops is just not something that trend traders do, right? It's just the antithesis of it. But find those corners of the markets that are double green, and you're just going to be in a higher probability environment for wins. And isn't that why we play the game, right? Okay, so thank you as always for joining me for Charts and Coffee. I've got to head on over to the Sector Secrets room. You guys can join me. Check out what we're doing over in our think tank. We've got a very active room. I'm in it, in the chat, monitoring, 5 days a week pretty much. And we're on the mic every Wednesday from 9:20 to about 11-ish to take some Q&A and so forth. So thanks as always for your time, and I'll see you guys in the next Charts and Coffee. Be good to each other.